Blessed and holy is the one who has a part in the first resurrection. Over these, the second death has no power, but they will be priests of God and of Christ, and will reign with him for 1,000 years. When the 1,000 years are completed, Satan will be released from his prison. The first resurrection goes hand in hand with the 1,000 years or day of the Lord. Those in the first resurrection are priests of God and of Christ, and reign with him. Tradition says this day is yet to come. But if this is true, where does the history of the church fit in from the past 2,000 years? We must remind ourselves, much of what the apostles said was in the future was true for them, but has long since been fulfilled before now. Furthermore, once fulfilled, it remains a present reality. When the 1,000 years are completed, this corresponds to Revelation 6:11 and to those who are sealed in Revelation chapter 7, verses 1 through 8. In Revelation 7:1, it speaks of the four winds of the earth, while verse 2 and 3 speak of the hurt of these winds to the earth and the sea and the trees. This leads to what Jesus said in the following from Matthew. Immediately after the tribulation of those days shall the sun be darkened, and the moon shall not give her light, and the stars shall fall from heaven, and the powers of the heavens shall be shaken. Then shall appear the sign of the Son of Man in heaven, and then shall all the tribes of the earth mourn, and they shall see the Son of Man coming in the clouds of heaven with power and great glory. And he shall send his angels with a great sound of a trumpet, and they shall gather together his elect from the four winds, from one end of heaven to the other. If my understanding is correct, the four winds denote God's judgment flowing from the spirit of wisdom, understanding, counsel, and might. In comparison, see Ezekiel 14:12 through 23, where verse 21 refers to four sore judgments. Again, if my understanding is correct, the loosing of these four winds is seen in the following, where the four angels are the four winds. Saying to the sixth angel which had the trumpet, Loose the four angels and or four winds, which are bound in the great river Euphrates. And the four angels were loosed, which were prepared for an hour and a day and a month and a year, for to slay the third part of men. The hurt in Revelation 7 refers to the second death or lake of fire described in the sixth trumpet, which is the gospel of Christ, the message of the cross, that which the apostles and early church took to the entire world at that time. The hurt of the second death is against the earth and the sea and the trees, where earth and sea represent the deepest recesses of the heart, and trees to those things rooted within, challenged by the preaching of the cross. Now, let me bring in the following once again. Now we request you, brethren, with regard to the coming of our Lord Jesus Christ and our gathering together to him, that you not be quickly shaken from your composure, or be disturbed either by a spirit or a message or a letter, as if from us, to the effect that the day of the Lord is come. Let no one in any way deceive you, for it will not come unless the apostasy comes first and the man of lawlessness is revealed, the son of destruction, who opposes and exalts himself above every so-called God or object of worship, so that he takes his seat in the temple of God, displaying himself as being God. Do you not remember that while I was still with you, I was telling you these things? And you know what restrains him now, so that in his time he will be revealed. For the mystery of lawlessness is already at work, and only he who now restrains will do so until he is taken out of the way. Before the day of the Lord comes, Paul says there will be an apostasy first, a falling away or defection from the truth. When Paul wrote this, it was not yet a reality, but it was soon to come. Paul then speaks of the man of lawlessness, the son of destruction, being revealed. Tradition sees this as yet to happen, and the man of sin and son of perdition as an actual person. But ask yourself, did the church not fall away from the truth long ago? Doesn't this explain in part why there are so many denominations and differences in belief today? You see, my friend, pride has a way of standing up in us and declaring that this falling away is them over there and not us over here. And what is the real issue? Lawlessness. Not just a wrongful action now and then, but a spirit and behavior saturating society, simmering beneath the surface, ever ready to respond in hatred, bigotry, and prejudice. Who is this man of sin or lawlessness? Judging by the description that follows, it is pride, the inordinate love of the self. Who is this son of destruction or perdition? It is the self in sheep's clothing, nurturing the same hatred, bigotry, and prejudice, but covering it with religious ideology. What did Paul say? The mystery of lawlessness is already at work. Only he who now restrains will do so until he is taken out of the way. This restraint correlates with the completion of the 144,000. The apostles in the early church were the restraint until their deaths, and the gradual increase of pride that succeeded in corrupting the church and the message of the cross, establishing the spirit of the world as the Spirit of Christ. Removal of this restraint correlates to the completion of the 1,000 years. And when the 1,000 years are expired or complete, Satan shall be loosed out of his prison and shall go out to deceive the nations which are in the four quarters of the earth, Gog and Magog, to gather them together to battle, the number of whom is as the sand of the sea. So here we are, my friend. First, the apostasy or falling away. Then the day of the Lord commences. When it does, Satan is loosed out of his prison, no longer restrained. What does he do? Deceive the nations which are in the four quarters of the earth. Now, take a moment and think. Is this not a present reality in every part of the civilized world? Now, here's the kicker. Let's read it again. Satan shall be loosed out of his prison and shall go out to deceive the nations which are in the four quarters of the earth, Gog and Magog. Who are Gog and Magog? What do they represent? Is it not the nations in the four quarters of the earth? Doesn't the context show this? Yes, I'm familiar with Ezekiel chapters 38 and 39, where Gog is the chief prince of Meshech and Tubal, and Magog is the land he rules. But consider this. First, Gog. This word is found just 10 times in the King James Old Testament. First time in 1 Chronicles 5:4, where we are told he is a son of Joel. The other 9 times Gog is found is in Ezekiel, chapters 38 and 39, where he is called the chief prince of Meshech and Tubal. Meshech and Tubal bring us to Magog. Magog is found just 4 times in the King James Old Testament, the first time in the following. Now these are the generations of the sons of Noah, Shem, Ham, and Japheth, and unto them were sons born after the flood. The sons of Japheth, Gomer, and Magog, and Madai, and Javan, and Tubal, and Meshech, and Tyrus. Do you see it? Magog is one of the sons of Japheth, so too Tubal and Meshech, agreeing with Gog being the chief prince of Meshech and Tubal. However, it's just a few verses later where we find the meaning of Gog and Magog. In Genesis 10:3, we're given the sons of Gomer, while in verse 4, the sons of Javan. These are Noah's great-grandsons. Who are Gog and Magog? Genesis 10:5 tells us plainly. By these were the isles of the Gentiles divided in their lands, every one after his tongue, after their families, in their nations. See our word Gentiles? This word is found 561 times in the King James Old Testament. most often rendered as nation or nations, but also heathen, Gentiles, and people. Look once more at the following. And when the 1,000 years are expired, Satan shall be loosed out of his prison, and shall go out to deceive the nations which are in the four quarters of the earth, Gog and Magog, to gather them together to battle, the number of whom is as the sand of the sea. The word nations in this passage is rendered Gentiles 93 times, nation or nations 64 times, heathen 5 times, and people 2 times in the King James New Testament. Who are Gog and Magog? The nations, my friend. The nations. Not Russia, China, Turkey, Iran, or any other particular nation, but all nations, including the country of Israel. No wonder the number is as the sand of the sea. I will close here and hit some final points in the next study. Please feel free to like, comment, or subscribe, and I sincerely thank you for being a part of Grain of Wheat Publishing.